This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. My guest today is Anthony Mongiello. Anthony is the CEO and co-founder of the Bulls and Apes NFT project. Welcome to the show, Anthony.
Hi, Andy. How are you? Nice to be here.
Nice to have you here, Anthony, and nice to have your company again, Crypto Conversation listeners. As Anthony and I record today, it's Tuesday, 10th of January here in New Zealand, my part of the world. Probably going to publish this podcast reasonably quickly, Anthony, simply because, well, it's the first podcast of the year. So, Anthony, it's good to meet you. Happy New Year to you. And of course, Happy New Year to all Crypto Conversation podcast listeners. How are we doing, Anthony?
I'm doing excellent. Doing very, very well. Looking forward to 2023, that's for sure.
Yeah, me too. Good to put the, 2020 was a rough one. 2021, I mean, it was good in the markets, but still, the pandemic dragged on. And then, of course, it dragged on in 2022. And we got hit by an incredible bear market, which continues at the moment. But it is a new year, so it's wide open spaces before us. I think it's better to start on a positive, optimistic note than dwell too much on the issues of the past, right?
Absolutely. That's for sure. That's how we're looking at it. We are embracing the bear and trying to deliver as much as possible.
I love it. All right. Well, let's do what we do at the beginning of the show, Anthony. Could you please introduce yourself? I'd love to just hear a little bit about your story, your background, and the lead up to what you're doing with Bulls and Apes.
No problem. So, Anthony Mongiello, I've got a 20 plus year career in the corporate world. So I worked in commercial, P&C, property casualty insurance, global companies like Excel, like AXA. So very, very traditional, conservative industry, very, very traditional career path that I had. But then I got roped into Web3, got sucked in. I was just, I always looked at insurtech and disruptive technology. So I was certainly familiar with blockchain. Blockchain is a big topic in the insurance world. But then when I heard about NFTs and smart contracts, that's what started to pique my interest a little bit more. And I started getting involved and collecting NFTs in particular. And then when I got into the NFT land, I just was kind of blown away by the community aspects of it. And then was really, really interested in some of the new business models like DAOs that were being spun up. And this is roughly spring, summer of 2021. So really got in during that bull market of NFTs, volunteering my time, just providing some guidance and advisory to some projects behind the scenes. And then with all of that potential, as I'm sure you and your audience are familiar with, there's a lot of cash grabs and scams and rug pulls and just people that just had no idea on how to build a business. A lot of good people, but just a lot of inefficiencies that we saw in the space. And so myself and the other two co-founders, Manny and Guy, we got together and said, okay, can we bring our experience to the table? And Manny and Guy are both serial entrepreneurs in the Web2 space. And so the three of us thought that we could. And so we started Bulls and Apes.
Very, very nice, Anthony. So I suppose then this is a good opportunity just to learn a little bit more about Bulls and Apes. And yeah, I mean, and then I suppose we'll talk more about the current state of the market, Web3, NFTs, what kind of narrative shifts are happening. But yeah, what's the, I guess, the origin story with Bulls and Apes?
So for us, we looked at our experience and we wanted to create a project and a community that was very much focused on financial strategy, building wealth, retaining wealth. And so the bull character, the ape character, bull market, charging forward, aping into investments, reckless abandon. We thought that captured a lot of the spirit of what we saw in Web3 and the NFT world. And so that was our focus. We came in as a pre-funded project, so we're self-funded, pre-funded. So the mint wasn't about raising capital or trying to raise some investment, some money. It was really about building community, and so we focused on that with an accelerated roadmap. We had a 6-month ETH back guarantee built into our smart contract, so anybody who minted with us had 6 months to decide whether they liked what we were delivering. And as you can imagine, in a bear market, people thought we were crazy. We minted May 31st, 2022. So right at the beginning of the bear, and people said we were nuts. It was 10K collection. It was 3D art, so it was pretty expensive to
what was the mint?
create.
What was the mint price, Anthony?
So 0.17 was pre-sale, 0.22 was public. So we wound up minting out in about 67 hours in the bear, and our floor price now is roughly 4 or 5x mint price, and so we've done pretty well. That was our bull collection. We had tokenomics from day one that we introduced, an ERC20 token that has been very, very well received by our community. Fun gamification. We've got over an hour narrated video of our lore in place. We've done free mints with Teen Bulls and God Bulls. God Bulls are roughly 4 ETH floor right now, and that was a free mint based on our tokenomics. And just recently, on Thursday, we did a pre-sale for our apes. And so our apes are going to be minted on February 7th. We sold 1,500 mint passes in 75 seconds. We sold 5,000 in 40 minutes, and that was our absolute limit for our pre-sale event. And those were at 0.22 ETH each. And so right in the middle of the bear, we've done pretty decent job of building community and building with trust and credibility and transparency.
Well, it's hard to argue against that, Anthony. And yeah, I mean, you're right. Just looking at the original or the Genesis Bulls and Apes collection on OpenSea, and yeah, you're right. The floor price is 0.748 at the moment. So I think you said that was 3 or 4x from the mint price. And, my rough back of the envelope maths suggests that is exactly right. So, yeah, not too shabby considering where the market is at. And listeners, if you're not familiar with Bulls and Apes, the website obviously will be in the show notes, but it is simply Bulls and Apes Project.com. And unlike, I suppose, some NFT collections or brands, Anthony, your website is fairly comprehensive, actually. You do a pretty good job of explaining the project and some of the values and ideas, the vision behind the project, and different benefits and so on, and I suppose where you want this all to go. So listeners, of course, can look through the website, but always better to hear it from the horse's mouth, Anthony, or from the bull's mouth, the ape's mouth, if you like, if you're happy to take on that role, Anthony. Yeah, just love to hear a bit more about the longer term vision, and maybe then we can speak to some of the more unique aspects of what you guys are trying to do.
Yeah, and one of the things that was important to us when we started the Bulls and Apes Project was we wanted to build a company, a brand, IP, the Web3 way. And to us, that meant, taking advantage of the technology that was in place. So decentralization was important, permissionless, removing gatekeepers, intermediaries. When you think about our vision for the company is to create a world of infinite opportunities. And we believe that Web3 is that place that for all of those that hit against an intermediary, that hit against a gatekeeper, that feel like they were limited in the opportunities that were presented to them, we wanted to look at that and say, okay, well, how can we push the envelope on it? And we have an initiative called community tokenization. So I mentioned our ERC20 token. It's called Methane. And I mentioned the tokenomics that we put in place are fairly robust and fun and gamified. Well, what we've done with community tokenization is we said, okay, the blockchain is public. It's a public ledger, and it's intended to give power and control to those that own the assets themselves. So removing those gatekeepers, it's permissionless. So what we're doing right now is we are tokenizing projects, holders of NFTs outside of our project. And what we're doing is we're allowing those projects that have been tokenized, the holders, to come to our website and to collect our methane token. And so this is us trying to be pioneers and push the envelope around what it means to own an asset in Web3 and how you can be rewarded for holding that asset, even by a project that isn't the project that you own those NFTs for. And so we feel like that is pretty groundbreaking. We're pushing the envelopes on it. And I'll talk through the vision. Our mission as a company is to empower communities to build worlds where they could live their best life. And where that's going to come to fruition is we are setting forth on a metaverse play in 2023. And our metaverse is going to be not just one big, AAA kind of a game. It's more about individual communities building worlds within our metaverse called Weird Worlds. And so these tokenized communities are going to be earning the methane token. They're going to be able to use that methane token ultimately to build out worlds in our metaverse. And so that is a longer term vision for our company to really make our vision and mission come alive. Will be in Weird Worlds through community tokenization.
Fascinating, Anthony. And look, you're nothing if not ambitious. Great to hear those plans. Also, I talked before about the narrative shifts, right? So, we have this incredible bull market across, crypto, blockchain, NFTs, metaverse, DeFi. Great to see. And, in that time, of course, terms like metaverse went from being extremely, NFT, it went from being extremely obscure to some of the buzziest words, for good or bad, on the planet. And we saw all this, attention shift to, I suppose, the potential business models underpinning Web3 and how they could perhaps disrupt existing Web2 models for the better. And so as a result, a fantastic amount of capital and, of course, human potential, human talent flowed into the space. Of course, a year or so later, a year or so into the bear market, things are a bit different. And the narrative at the moment in terms of tech has moved to AI. I'm sure it hasn't escaped your notice, Anthony.
No.
And of course, there's a lot of capital and talent suddenly moving, chasing the hot new thing. I mean, that's one way to characterize it. Of course, things are never that black and white, certainly not as black and white as I'm making it. But just within that context, how do you think that affects, I suppose, the people that are left building Web3, and what does that mean for Web3 as, I don't know, as a place to pitch your tent, take your talent, or take your investment capital at the moment? Big questions, but interested in your thoughts, Anthony.
I think it depends on conviction. So the conviction that I had for Web3, 2 years ago when I started to really dive into it, and the conviction that I have now, it's actually amplified. I've seen what we can do. I've seen the impact that Web3 can have on individuals' lives, where they feel like they have connection and opportunity and are able to use their creativity and collaborate with like-minded people. That's all very, very real, and we are seeing it happen real time on a day-to-day basis, within the Bulls and Apes community. And that to me is powerful. It's special, and it makes me want to go farther, faster. And so that is the conviction that we have at Bulls and Apes. So the fact that there might be a little bit less attention here right now is a bit of a blessing in disguise for us, because we know what we're building, we know what we want to build, and it's giving us a chance to have a stronger voice as the noise has been inevitably reduced, and that is a builder's dream. So if you believe in what you're building, I think this is a solid place for us. Now, with that conviction, I believe personally that the convenience of Web3, of transacting in Web3, of transacting on a blockchain, as the technology advances and the obstacles become reduced, and there becomes a little bit more of safety and security controls in place, and there's some helper applications that are built out in the ecosystem, I believe that mainstream adoption is a bit of a no-brainer. And so if I have conviction in what we're building, and I believe that this technology will be adopted by the mainstream, then it's just a matter of continuing to deliver and having the patience to wait out some of the bear market.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, Anthony. It's really, if listeners will be aware, of course, of the Gartner hype cycle, and what the kind of the peak of inflated expectations, and then the trough of reality. I forget the terms, but
yes, exactly.
People will be familiar with that, and it strikes me, Anthony, that I think I mentioned AI, and I think it'll be really interesting, maybe. Because if you think of ideas, take it back to people like Ray Kurzweil, or take it back to Moore's law. Just the idea that computing power, doubles every 18 months or whatever it is. But we're still living in this time of exponential technology growth, and as much as sometimes it's hard to see it, from kind of 6 months to the next 6 months. But even if you zoom out 5 years or 10 years, incredible rate of technological change is happening on the planet. Obviously the fastest rate that's ever happened, and it's only speeding up. And I don't think people really. Listeners to this show will be aware of it, of course, but people don't understand perhaps just how quickly the Web3 primitives, blockchain, scaling, AI functionalities, all of these new technology trends are starting to mature. And as they do mature, sort of 2, 3, 5 years down the line, and then they start to converge, man, things are going to start to get wild, Anthony.
It is going to get wild for sure. I mean, it is. We talk a lot about AI at Bulls and Apes, and we're using it too to be transparent. We're looking at copywriting and how good the AI can get to writing copy that is on brand, on tone. And you got to tweak it certainly, but we're taking our first stab at some of our copywriting, using AI. There's no doubt in my mind that this is just going to be exponentially increased as we go. I look at that when we think about the metaverse platform and weird worlds. You could imagine a scenario where AI becomes so sophisticated that you won't know if you're interacting with a human or you're interacting with an AI avatar, in a metaverse. And so I believe that it's just like food supply today. You pay more for organic food. You want to know that it was treated a certain way, or there wasn't this chemicals or those chemicals on it. I think there'll be a point in time when you're looking at your content, you're looking at your interactions, and you're saying, I want a validation that I am dealing with human content or human interaction. And so, I think that will be a factor in metaverses at some point in the future, where you'll have to have, that toggle or that flip of the switch to, validate that you're dealing with a real human on the other side.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Anthony. Be called, proof of humanity.
Yes.
Yeah, just to prove that you're, a human and not an NPC or not an AI. Again, man, this is just it's going to be crazy out there. And I love the fact that you said you're utilizing AI for copywriting. So, do you mean like what kind of copywriting, like law or?
So right now we're using it as a first pass for email copy, for tweets, Twitter copy, email subject lines, and so we're playing with it on those aspects. Blogs, we're looking at it for blog writing. We haven't done it on the creative side yet. We haven't tried it on the creative side.
Well, I think because I was looking through your YouTube channel yesterday, and I could see you've got a number of different um, law-based videos where you it's a clever way of using kind of still artwork, but making it in an animation style, and then you've got this kind of voiceover telling the law. And it's anyone that goes to that much trouble to keep pumping out law for an NFT project is, obviously deep in the game. So full respect there. But I can see that because I've had to try writing law before, and it's not necessarily easy. But I can imagine that. That's kind of what AI would be good at as well, just because it can be effectively inventing some kind of sci-fi concept or whatever, and then just taking cues from sci-fi, fantasy fiction, all that good stuff. Can see that being a thing very soon.
Yeah, it would be interesting, and it's as the AI gets better at you being able to feed it input, and here's kind of the inventory of material of media that I'd like for you to to prioritize over everything else that's out there, and if we could point them like to our website, for instance, and you mentioned that it's rich in content, and it is, and it starts using the Bulls and Apes terminology, in the story, that would be pretty cool. We haven't done that yet.
All right. Well, hey, another thing to add to the roadmap, Anthony. And I guess, speaking of the roadmap, just as we start to finish off this part of the podcast, look, I mean, anything else you want to say in terms of what you guys are working on at the moment, what's coming down the pipe, and why people should take a look and potentially want to get involved?
So I mentioned the Ape Mint February 7th. What we're doing with the Ape Mint is going to push the envelope on digital identity. And these are all stepping stones along the way. The gamification that we have in place, the tokenomics, all of that are stepping stones along the way to get to the metaverse and to get to weird worlds. That's always been part of our long-term vision. And with the digital identity aspects of the apes, they are going to be a dynamic PFP collection, which means we will have a loot box mechanisms for people to be able to open up loot boxes and get new traits into their inventory. And then if those traits are in their inventory, they'll be able to equip and dequip traits from their ape. So essentially designing their own ape as they would see fit, which means we'll have changes in rarity. There'll be a lot of fun. There'll be a lot of gamification aspects to it. You'll be able to, be a fashion designer of your own ape, and maybe you're good at designing apes and putting traits together, and those will sell better because you're the one who designed it. So there's going to be really fun aspects to see how the community really starts leveraging this dynamic PFP and what kind of creations, and there'll be 5,000 male and 5,000 female. So we'll have plenty of traits on both sides. We'll have ongoing inclusion, new traits as we go. So this will be an ongoing machine of generating new traits, opening up loot boxes, unlocking new traits, and a lot of excitement on, traits as they're first seen in the collection. And so this is going to be a fun road ahead as we release the apes. The other thing that we're doing is we're in the middle of design and testing for a physical card game. So think Magic the Gathering type of a card game. That'll be coming out probably within the next 2 or 3 months. We'll start with limited edition for our holders, but then we are talking to some partners for more mass production of the card game as well. So that's the other way that we're going to be building out the IP in this first half of the year.
Fantastic. Look forward to all that rolling out, Anthony. Sounds intriguing. And I mean, the dynamic customizable NFTs, starting to see a fair bit of that at the moment. I think that'll be a huge trend this year across NFTs and Web3, and just brings another level of fun and interactivity, excuse me, creativity, and I mean, user controlled journeys, really, or owner controlled journeys, which is great to see. Let's go to a quick break, though, listeners, and then we'll come back. We'll have some fun. We will run Anthony through the very first Crypto Conversation hot take round for 2023. Back in 1 second.
For crypto indices and benchmarking, Brave New Coin's powerful indexing engine can calculate high-frequency intraday and end-of-day indices for a wide range of index products. Brave New Coin's custom indices team delivers experienced consultancy, premium data, and trusted calculation. Contact BNC today to find out more.
All right, we're back, and I'm with Anthony Mongiello. Anthony, as we've learnt, is CEO, co-founder of Bulls and Apes, the Bulls and Apes Project, the NFT community, a whole lot of stuff happening as we go, as we've learnt. Anthony, you may or may not be aware, but I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid-fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Excellent. Sounds good to me.
Just going to run some questions at you, Anthony. Just want kind of quick, snappy, hot take style answers. No right or wrong way to do it. Let's do it, though. Question one. Where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Multi-chain for sure. So look, Bitcoin store value, no doubt about it. I'm a maxi on that. But I think there's going to be multi-chain ecosystem, in the future. That is the ecosystem of the future in my mind.
That is, hard to argue with that. I think I agree. But it is fine to hold, love and respect Bitcoin for what it is, but also, play in that multi-chain universe. The two can coexist, and they should, and they will. Simple as that, really. What would you say then, Anthony, is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
Which cryptocurrency?
No, sorry, firmest conviction crypto opinion. What opinion about anything crypto related, blockchain, do you have the most conviction in?
All transactions at some point in the future will be through crypto and blockchain.
Nice, I like it. All right. Bill Gates famously said, Anthony, that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. With that in mind, look, 10 years is a long time, but, Web3, the metaverse, what does it start to look like in 10 years' time?
In 10 years' time, I think social media as we know it will be gone, and all of that virtual engagement will be happening in the metaverse in some shape or form.
Well, can't wait to see you there. The flip side of that, of course, Anthony, is a quote by William Gibson, who said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't really aware of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 40 something people on the team, and more than half of them are paid via crypto, and the convenience and ease at what it takes to run payroll, via crypto is something that, most people don't grasp yet, because they're just not paying that way.
Absolutely. I like it. All right. What be good just to finish off maybe with some kind of positives and negatives. NFTs are still very exciting even here in the bear markets, but what's something positive that NFTs are going to enable in the world in the year or two ahead, do you think?
So right now, what's happening is, and Gary Vee termed it. That's what at least I heard termed the kidult category. And so right now, NFTs are triggering and enabling adults to have fun like they did when they were kids, whether it was collecting, trading, interacting. It's the kidult era. Our lore, the adults in our community love the lore. Their kids love the lore. And so that is a great form of escapism from a lot of what's going on in the world, and I believe that that's going to continue to be the case on a greater and greater basis over the next 1 to 2 years, where adults will be able to share a lot of the fun that they're doing with their kids, through NFTs.
That's a great answer, Anthony. What was that? Sorry, just run that term you used by me again.
Kidult. Kidult.
Yeah, I like it. I haven't heard that term before, but I completely relate and agree. NFTs are simply fun, and they're becoming more fun as they become more dynamic, and there's much more exotic new ways to interact with them coming down the line, which is cool. Let's do negative though. What? Obviously there's all sorts of scams and rug pulls and all that stuff. Anything that worries you about the industry?
Yeah, right now the biggest thing that worries me with the industry is gatekeeping. And so what's funny is that, I talk through Web3 and blockchain technology removing gatekeepers. Well, the quote unquote OG collectors of the space, they do their own gatekeeping right now. There's a lot of market movers that get to pick and choose what projects are going to pump, that type of gatekeeping is an obstacle to mainstream adoption, and so that is something that I'm particularly concerned about as we look over the next couple of years.
Yeah, well said, Anthony. Let's start to finish off. Finally, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Book series. So Dark Tower, Stephen King, Dark Tower.
Nice. I like it. Don't know if I've read Dark Tower, but yeah, good choice. All right.
Yeah, I think it's he's got eight or 9 books, and they're all very, very long.
Yes,
they're worth the read.
Has that been adapted into a film or a TV show?
So it was adapted into a film, very, very short. It was a few years ago, and it was really more of a summary of all the books. It was intended to be kind of a Lord of the Ring kind of style, but production costs, and it just never picked up. But yeah, it's worth a watch.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Anthony. And thank you for coming on the show. Hey, this has been fun. Have enjoyed talking to you. Nothing else to say really, Anthony, except again, tell the people where they can go to find out more about the Bulls and Apes project. And look, do you have a Twitter handle? Where do you hang out online?
Yep, bullsandapes.com is the best. It's bullsandapesproject.com. Bullsandapes.com redirects right to bullsandapesproject.com, makes it easier. And all of our socials are on there. My socials are on there, my LinkedIn, my Twitter. I do my best to answer DMs. So
awesome. Hey, thank you very much, Anthony. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, there you go. There was Anthony from Bulls and Apes, Apes and Bulls. Yeah. Hey, there we go. We reached the end of the first Crypto Conversation podcast for 2023. How are we feeling about this year, team? Man, have been through the ringer over the last year, haven't we? Luckily, it's supposed to be summer in my part of the world. Which means for most listeners, you're probably in the depths of not just the crypto winter, but also real life winter, which can be a struggle. I wish I could say the sun was shining here, but it's actually, we've got a storm passing through New Zealand at the moment. So it's warm, but we've got some fairly torrential rain and winds, rushing through. So as much as I'd rather be down on the lake or out at the beach, perhaps on a paddleboard, it's not really the case. Instead, stuck at home, sitting on the couch, recording podcasts. Really, I think we'll just do that for this week. So hey, do stick around. Make sure you subscribe to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using, so you know when a new episode drops. And if you are a regular listener and you're still listening here at the end of the show, thank you. Please do give us a 5-star rating in Apple iTunes, the Apple Podcast app, or on Spotify. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And always remember, you can shoot me an email if you got feedback or something to say, andy@bravenewcoin.com. Thanks for listening, team. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin.